What is up, Texas Tech Red Raiders fans? Your good friend IndyCar Timm here with your Texas Tech Red Raiders Daily Blitz, Washington State Cougars post-game edition. Not a lot of good things to talk about happening tonight up there in Pullman, Washington, in the Red Raiders' first trip ever to Pullman, Washington. It's just the third matchup between the two teams ever, with Texas Tech coming out on top back in 1963 and 1964, both of those games in Lubbock. And, you know, I expected a little more from the offense tonight. I don't know about you guys, but Baron Morton, I thought, looked very pedestrian again tonight. He looked uncomfortable in the pocket. He routinely jumped out of the pocket prematurely, as he sometimes had to run for his life because of the lack of protection from his offensive line. He finished the game 34-58 with 323 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions. Both of those interceptions particularly painful. One was in the red zone, and one was as they were driving early in the game. The one in the red zone, the interception in the end zone, of course, came right after a touchdown was nullified because of a holding call. And you never want to blame a quarterback for a holding call, but this is a situation where that applies, as Barron left the pocket way prematurely, and he put his couple of his offensive linemen in a bad spot by running to the other side of the pocket, and his offensive linemen see him leaving the pocket, and they're going to try to protect him, and it wasn't obviously the blocking scheme that was called. So I'm going to throw that one on Morton, and that was a touchdown pass, a great catch, by the way, in the end zone, and called back. Very next play is the interception in the end zone. But man, you are a week after giving up 539 yards to Abilene Christian. You give up 416 yards to the Cougars. Cougars are a better team for sure. But that wasn't the story of the game, boys and girls. The story, I thought, there were three big stories of the game here that we'll point out. One was the turnovers, the two interceptions, the two fumbles. I will also point at your fourth down efficiency, as the Red Raiders just 1 of 5 on fourth down, and those are indeed the same as turnovers. That's why they call it a turnover on downs. So throw 4 more of those in there. That is 8 turnovers on the day. And I don't care who you are, you cannot overcome those. I understand Joey McGuire's aggressiveness, and I don't always disagree with it, but this team is in a bad spot right now offensively. You don't have an offensive line that's moving the line of scrimmage. You don't have an offensive line that is opening holes for your running backs. By the way, they were without Taj Brooks tonight because of his injury. So that didn't help things. And Morton is not the most fleet of foot quarterback. He's no John Mateer. We'll get into that here in just a second. But I didn't see hardly anything that looked great from the offense tonight. The other issue we have here is 10 penalties for 81 yards. A lot of those penalties, again, and there was no such thing as a timely penalty. Well, there might be. But just constantly hurting the team on drives, drive killers. And it's just hard to overcome any of those things, much less all of those things in the same game. These two teams I thought were very evenly matched. It was a pick'em game if you're a betting person, which means it was pretty much even. Take your pick and bet on them. Won't win a lot of money, but you can bet on them. But man, quarterback John Mateer, who took over for Cam Ward, of course, who is now at Miami with the Hurricanes and looking really, really good, had his coming out party. And And by the way, he's from Little Elm, Texas, which is right in my backyard. I watched him play high school football, and this kid has always been good. Uh, John Mateer, 9 of 19, 115 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But more impressively, boys and girls, 21 carries, 191 yards, and another score on the ground. Just did everything that he possibly could to help his team win, and for sure was the reason they won. I'll credit the Washington State defense just a little bit, but they didn't have to do much, as the Red Raiders offense did a pretty good job of beating themselves. Cameron Brown had 5 carries for 70 yards, was the leading rusher for Texas Tech. Receiving, you had Josh Kelly, 9 catches, 95 yards. Caleb Douglas, 4 catches for 71 yards. Again, 343 total yards passing, not anything to sneeze at. Your rushing totals, 148 yards total without Taj Brooks. So, it is what it is. But the defense's inability to make stops when they had to consistently, they made a couple of big stops. They had that goal line stand turnover on downs late in the game that literally the offense could turn around and do nothing with. So it's all about timeliness. I'm not impressed with this team this season. They are nothing like what I thought they were going to be walking into the regular season out of spring ball. And it's got me a little bit worried. I know they're dealing with injuries, but you're supposed to recruit so that that's not an issue. And right now, some of these guys that Joey McGuire has just aren't cutting it. They either can't or they're not, for whatever reason, they're not cutting it. Colin Klein's offense, I am not at all impressed with right now. This is not what we saw at K-State with him. This is not what we expected for him to bring here. Maybe it's because he doesn't think he has the tools right now to accommodate what he needs, skills wise, talent wise, with some of these guys. I don't know the reason, but it's not anything what I expected to see. And tonight was an extremely disappointing performance. Games like last week against ACU, those will happen to good teams. Look at Notre Dame today. Notre Dame got beat at home by Northern Illinois. Notre Dame, the number 5 team in the country, got beat by Northern Illinois. So those games happen when you have a lesser opponent come in. But when you are evenly matched with a big conference foe here, and I know you traveled to their stadium, it's not a hostile environment. That stadium wasn't even sold out. They weren't loud. There's just no excuse for a performance like this, and it's extremely disappointing. So we move on. The Red Raiders are going to get ready for the North Texas Mean Green at 11 a.m. Back at Jones AT&T Stadium on Saturday. That game will be on FS1. The Cougars are preparing for the Washington Huskies in the Apple Cup. That will be played at Lumen Field rather than at the Husky Stadium. That is 2:30 o'clock. 2:30 o'clock. Sorry, guys, it's late. It's about 1:20 a.m. my local time. 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Peacock next Saturday. So it is what it is. We're going to do some more analysis, some more, discussion of the defense and the offense. I want to do a show on the offense, and I want to do a show on the defense here coming up this week before we start doing previews for North Texas, a school also in my backyard here in North Texas. So you guys get your thoughts together. Appreciate you all popping in here to FanStream Sports. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. FanStreamSports.com is where all of our great content is. If you are listening to the recorded podcast on your favorite podcast app, I ask you to go over there and subscribe and give us a little support. But we will do it again here probably on Monday with some follow-up. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. Leave me a comment in the video section, or find me on the X. Oh, I almost said Twitter. Find me on X or on Threads at IndyCarTim. I would love to hear from you. I'll follow you back. Let's have a discussion, boys and girls, and maybe I'll bring some of that content with me to the next show. I will see you on Monday, and until then, boys and girls, get some sleep, and we'll see you.